everyone, and welcome to another highlight package here on the Cycling Dane YouTube channel. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. Today we're going to look at the stage 3 of this great race. Yesterday, as you'll recall, Dylan Groenewegen was the fastest man, taking the sprint ahead of Pascal Ackermann, and what a victory that was. Pascal Ackermann, of course, in third place. But nevertheless, stage 3 was going to be a bit of a different affair, to say the least. The riders were preparing after the shock we had in the Tour de Suisse, but Bahrain Victoria is very strong. Up is in Phoenix looking to do something. But of course, the day would be focused about these two men, Rafa Majka in the green jersey and Tadej Pogačar looking to take another stage victory in his home tour, of course. Stage 3, a bit of a different affair from yesterday's stage, of course, with two big categorized climbs along the way. But these two categorized climbs along the way weren't the only thing to be troubling the riders. We were also going to be troubled with a 2.1 kilometer climb at the end that averaged 7.1%. But if you think of Celje, we think of last year's stage 2, where Tadej Pogačar took the green jersey for the first time in his career, and he went on to win that race, of course. However, the stage, of course, set off at the start destination, and we quickly had riders going off the front, getting a breakaway. We could see, as we've seen throughout the week, fans really getting involved. Really good to see on a very hot day once again. The breakaway were formed, UAE Team Emirates, of course, taking up the mantle of pacing the peloton. At the front of the race, we had a breakaway consisting of teams that we were accustomed to seeing so far in the Tour of Slovenia. And it was a beautiful day, but some riders took a tumble early on the downhill, which was not good to see. The breakaway did enjoy a very sunny day out in front. Matej Mohoric was also going to be one of the key protagonists, and of course a few of you have commented down below in the comments that I haven't really pronounced his name that well, so do rate my pronunciation here. However, my questionable Slovenian aside, we still had UAE Team Emirates working hard at the front, of course, controlling affairs. They had the diamonds in their teams, if you will, Tadej Pogačar and Rafa Majka. And this was, of course, bad news for the breakaway up in front. Now they only consisted of 3 riders, and they were trying to maximize their day, of course. The lead was ever shortening to this breakaway. They even saw the sign there of 1 minute and 25 seconds, trying their best to keep away from this monstrosity of the UAE Team Emirates train, of course. The race then encountered something that we hadn't seen throughout the stage race so far. We had rain coming up, and we still had the fans out there, even on a motorbike. We then cut to after the rain had landed, and this was not good. The surface was very wet, and the riders were definitely going to struggle on that surface later on. The breakaway were duly caught as well, the 3 riders having unfortunately to give up their TV time for the day, and they were swallowed up by the UAE Team Emirates train. Shortly after, we had the first victim of the rain, and this was in the form of UAE Team Emirates Rui Oliveira, who unfortunately took a tumble after losing his grip, and you can see how bad the crash actually was, and he took quite a beating by the ground. However, he did get up, the Portuguese rider, so just shows you how tough cyclists actually are. One of the toughest sportsmen, you would say, in the world. Bahrain Victorias were keen to do something here with Domen Novak up there, and of course Matej Mohoric as well. However, it didn't take long for UAE Team Emirates to push on the pace here with Tadej Pogačar and Rafa Majka. They quickly drew out a selection of riders, and this looked like this would be the riders challenging the UAE Team Emirates dominance. But moments later, the only rider to actually be on the wheel of the 2 riders was Domen Novak, as many other riders were being distanced behind. It wasn't long, however, before Domen Novak was struggling, and we can see Tadej Pogačar looking behind before the 2 of them disappeared up the road here, leaving Novak completely isolated at this moment. From the helicopter shot, we can see exactly the extraordinary damage that Tadej Pogačar's accelerational pace has done on the favourites group, of course. It wasn't long before Novak was caught by his teammate Matej Mohoric, and these 2 tried to bridge the gap, but they could just about see the UAE Team Emirates riders up in front. However, Novak cracked before Mohoric, and there we can see Mohoric trying to get up the road alone. This didn't work, and eventually was caught by the others, and with 16 kilometers to go, he tried to make his way by himself as he knew that the descent was coming up. The two in front, of course, Rafa Majka and Tadej Pogačar were working solidly, and if anyone can translate this, Rafa Majka just doing some hand gestures that I'm not really familiar with. The riders then had this very long descent that they would have to negotiate with, but the crucial factor here was that we had the rain just occurring as well. We did see some riders struggling, a Bardiani CSF rider struggling to stay on the surface, of course. We also saw Tadej Pogačar and Rafa Majka enjoying the descent somewhat, but Tadej Pogačar seemed to be a bit more averse to getting up the road. However, they did join back together, and they were joined by Nicola Conci from Alpecin-Phoenix, who did an absolutely superb ride on the descent to get here. And with that meant that we only had one more ascent of the day. The three riders out in front, two UAE Team Emirates riders, and of course that Alpecin-Phoenix rider. That final kicker that we had, 2.1 kilometer, and if you see it from the map, you can't quite see it, and there it is. Nothing as tough as the riders had been, but of course everything builds up. And with about 1 kilometer to go, Tadej Pogačar set off like a rocket. Rafa Majka didn't seem too bothered about this, let his team leader, despite having the leader's jersey, go up the road, and Nicola Conci was going to try and follow the Tour de France champion as far as he could. It didn't last long, as a few seconds later Tadej Pogačar kicked once again. Conci was left behind, and we can see here with 900 meters to go, this perfect photo how far Nicola Conci actually was behind, and Rafa Majka as well. Rafa Majka did manage to claw some time back and pass Conci as well, but ultimately this was a procession in a way. Tadej Pogačar, of course, we knew he was going to take this. He's the superstar of Slovenia, and once again he wins in Celje. Deja vu once again, and takes the green jersey again in Celje. And Tadej Pogačar's Tour de France preparations looking solid. Takes the champagne with the Prosecco. Such a good effort, such a good team for them, of course, and just a confirmation of the result of the day. Tadej Pogačar wins 11 seconds ahead of his teammate Rafa Majka. Nicola Conci was 14 seconds, 3 seconds down on Rafa Majka, and of course those three in the top, they actually do all benefit for bonus second. Luka Mezgic, of all people, was the best of the rest in 4th place. Vincenzo Albanese, of course, getting another top 5 place. Matej Morhic gets a 6th place. Davide Gaboro, 7th place. Fernando Barcelo gets another top 10 as well. And Luca Chirico gets 9th place for Drone Hopper, and Carual, they finish it out in 10th place. So a good result for many of those teams, but UAE Team Emirates taking their 2 top spots here. In terms of the overall GC, it means that Tadej Pogačar, of course, takes over the green jersey 7 seconds ahead of his teammate Rafa Majka. Doma Novak moves down 1 place as well, 55 seconds in arrear, still has that podium position, and Nicola Conci moves himself up into 4th place, 1 minute and 10 seconds down. Vincenzo Albanese, the ever consistent Iolo Cometa rider, 1 minute and 36 seconds down. He's tied on time with Luka Mezgic and Matej Morhic in 6th and 7th place, the two Slovenians. David Gaboro, of course, in 8th place, and Noel Nicola for Carual in 9th place, and Wojciech Repa, the current Young Riders classification leader, moves down 6 places, unfortunately, to 10th. So that's basically it for today's stage. Incredible to see Tadej Pogačar once again win in Celje, and of course takes control of the Tour of Slovenia. Absolutely incredible tour preparations for him in some respects. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you tomorrow.